Hello and welcome to Cemetery Mary. I'm not entirely sure what this game's about. It was advised to us by someone who, I have passing conversations with. They really recommended it. It was apparently one of their favorite games. Apparently, it's about a girl who enjoys the cemetery, hence the name, but her parents go missing, and she receives a ominous message which can influence her life. Other than that, I don't really know what's going on. So, I guess we're going to find out together, really. Seems... Well, at least as a warning. This game contains themes of depicting the following: stalking, kidnapping, strong language, mild drugs, alcohol and smoking, blood, murder, suicide, flashing images, and potential loud noises. Well, everyone's been warned, including myself. I have never been to a funeral I didn't enjoy. That's a great first line, I guess. That is, until very recently. And I wasn't quite sure how to feel. It was a beautiful service, and one they certainly deserved. If only it had come later in their lifetime. And maybe it could have been prevented. If there wasn't a murderer in my city. That's what everyone's been saying anyways. The Blackwood Butcher. That's what they called them, at least. It was hard not to overhear the rumours people had said about them. I heard they strike at night. I heard they only target one person at a time and don't stop until they're dead. I heard it's a ghost, blindly seeking revenge. I didn't believe any of that. At least, not at first. But my parents did. And because of that, they didn't like me going off to the cemetery alone. Staying until it closed. Walking home by myself in the dark. Even though it was only across the street, these rumours had made them afraid for my safety. Do you really believe they're real? I asked my father. I do, he answered. Are you really worried about me? My mother did not say a thing. But that is to be expected. They thought I was a perfect target. But I still didn't believe in it. Still, they were worried about me. So, they sent me off to live with my aunt, uncle, and cousin. They didn't live far. At least, not anymore. They moved from their fancy home in a gorgeous Hillen City. I don't know if that's supposed to be pronounced differently. To a small little cabin in the woods. A cabin in the woods and as a murderer. Your parents have not made the smartest choice. I never understood why. But I never really asked about it either. My parents felt I would be safe with them. I didn't want to leave. But every day I stayed only seemed to stress them out more. So I went, to make them feel better. For the first few weeks everything was fine. I barely left the house, barely went to town anymore. And when I did, I was always with someone. Taking all precautions to avoid becoming the victim of the butcher. But I still thought it was only a rumour. Even if the number of deaths in our community increased, I never thought that I, or someone I knew, would be a victim. Then, that thing happened. To those two. And for the first time, I was worried. Shortly after that, my own parents disappeared. They weren't in the diner, nor could I contact them. Even the authorities couldn't figure it out. No one had seen them. It was as if they suddenly vanished. As if they were killed off. I don't like to think that... I don't like to think about that possibility. Actually, well... There was also that other thing that happened. Maybe I should have told the authorities about it. Or anyone for that matter. But I was too afraid of what might happen if I did. Unknown number. Your parents are safe. I knew I'd fall asleep if I sat down. Usually what happens, usually for me, specifically if I sit down. Not if I sit down, if I lie down. Can't even get the story straight. Is it raining outside? It wasn't supposed to rain today. The lights are out. The lights on outside. Is Croven out there? I better go check. What are you doing out here? It's raining. You're out here? Where's Aunt and Uncle? Groven, I finished dinner. Come inside. Number 2. Quit it, Mary. How many times do I have to tell you? They went to hell. Okay, what are you doing out here? I can see that it's raining, Mary. Okay, then. It's spaghetti. I used your favorite sauce, too. Okay, I'll be inside in a second. Just let me put this out. Okay, then. All the food is cold. I know I fell asleep after I made it, so it's never been a problem for you before. I made too much. Are you upset with me for what I said earlier? I did fall asleep. That's all we know. I just wanted to take a seat in the living room, but it's fine. I'm not complaining. Other than that, we didn't say much, and dinner was quiet. So, okay, Croven's our cousin. That's what we learned. We do not know the name of our aunt and uncle. I cleaned up most of it, but Croven helped a little. After that, he went to go sit in the living room. Once I finished cleaning the kitchen, I joined him, like usual. He's looking so angry. Normally after dinner, when Croven and I sit together, we do something fun. We play a game on our phones together. Or we get out a board game. Or we play cards. Talk about our days, if something exciting happened. But that's when our uncle was still... Croven's been pretty... Croven's been in a pretty bad mood since. Okay, then. So... there's two things we have to consider. Did they die? And is hell like an actual place, as in like a physical place that you can just walk to, like down the street, and just visit something? It's not as if I can blame him. I want to talk to him, but I don't really know if he's much in the mood to talk. Let's save, I guess, because this seems to be our rip. Page 16. I don't know why it started on page 16. Anyway. I don't feel like he's in the mood to talk, so I'm gonna go to bed. I decided it's better off to just going to bed at this point. After a few more moments of awkward sitting, I went upstairs and headed to my bedroom. I didn't want to make Croven angrier than I already had. I brushed my teeth and changed into my pajamas. I stretched out on what you could consider my bed. The room I have in the cabin is nice. It's not like my room back in my actual home. But I've stayed here so long, I've been able to decorate it a bit more to my liking. It's a pleasant room to stay in, even if it's not quite home. Of course, I don't normally sleep right away. I usually read a book or watch a movie on my laptop, or lie awake thinking of every embarrassing thing that's happened in my life. You and everyone else, don't worry about it. But, as of recent, I've picked up a different nightmare ritual. Or nighttime nightmare. Oh, I wonder where I'm... Okay, one that's nowhere near as pleasant. Well, I mean, I say nightmare, and the first thing I see is the bunny-bear combination. and the skull. The text message I had received days following my parents' disappearance. It was from a number I didn't recognize. Your parents are safe, it had said. I know I should have done something smart. I should have told somebody, but instead, I texted the number back, and they responded to me. I've noticed that, other than the first message, they usually don't reach out to me. It's me who keeps texting them, hoping to find out what's happening behind all this. Are you still awake? I'm awake whenever you want to talk. Yeah, let's check on our parents first. Yes. I'm keeping a careful eye on them. So whoever this person is, they don't have them, but they know where they are. How can I be sure you even have them? What if you're just trying to prank me? Why would I do that? Because I'm hoping it's a prank. I'm sorry, it isn't a prank. I can promise it's all real. How did you even get my number? Your parents gave it to me. Why would they do that? Well, then there must be someone that trusts whoever you are, because if they weren't, especially with the butcher going around, because they care about you. But do they trust you? You must be lying to me. My parents would do something like that. I'm sorry. You don't know your parents as well as you think you do. What does that mean? That just makes me think that immediately they're spies. Seriously, you freak me out. I just want my parents back. Please don't drag this out. I just want them back home. You should get some rest. It's late, isn't it? I'll talk to you tomorrow. I don't like to text for too long. Until then, goodbye. Goodbye. That's politely well mannered for a kidnapping. They suggested I get some rest. But how do they expect me to do that? I'd never felt more restless in my life. Even asleep, I knew I couldn't rest. Oh, I knew I wouldn't rest. When I woke up the next morning, Craven had already left for the day. That wasn't a surprise. He'd been staying out late and leaving super early ever since the incident. I think being home bothers him. I'm not surprised. Whenever I pass the diner, I feel like not being there. It's not the same without mom and dad, after all. Despite this cabin being out in the middle of the woods, it really isn't all that hard to get back to the Blackwood. Outside of our cabin is a faint trail. It gets a bit twisty at some parts, but it isn't too confusing. It takes about 15 minutes to walk down, but maybe 10 if you're fast. I'm not gonna lie, the art style looks pretty nice, yeah. At the end of the trail, there's a fence. One with a slight gap in it. And past the fence, there's a little community. It isn't too big. A few trailers and a few people living all the way out here. Far from anything anything. But there's a road here, and a bus that comes through. It runs through Blackwood. So whenever we need to leave, we take this bus. And then, after the end of a short trip, you're in Blackwood. Hooray! It's the city I grew up in. And I always really loved it. So has Mary never had a holiday outside of the city? Because it sounds like it doesn't sound like you have. There's a library and the local stores, but most of my favorite places to be in Blackwood. But my most favorite place to be in is the Blackwood Cemetery. Hence, probably your name, Cemetery Mary. It's got a lot of trees to read under, and the prettiest headstones I've ever seen. Can headstones be pretty? It's kind of... I'm not calling them ugly, I just mean like... It's not specifically something you would think of to think of joy, right? There's a mausoleum too, though I've never been inside. Private mausoleum, you know? But what if that's important? Is that important to the plot? Is that Chekhov's gun? I don't know who it belongs to. Anyways, I always try and leave flowers whenever I visit. At least every so often. That's kind of you. And I visit a lot. I like to think it helps them, not feel lonely. And then after having spent my days in Blackwood, I come back home the same way I left. But I always make sure no one sees me the way I came back home. Just in case, You do it enough times, they won't have to. If you have a routine, that's easier for people to kind of crack down, right? Despite the recent events, I leave the cabin more than ever now. Croven is rarely home, and I don't like being here alone. So you like being at the cemetery alone? Technically alone? Depending if you consider the residents of the cemetery. I know I'm just being paranoid, but I don't like the thought that maybe the butcher could find me out here all alone. Of course they could. They could just find you by accident. Even if that's the whole reason I'm here in the first place. So I go out a lot now. I feel more comfortable surrounded by lots of people. Despite how things may seem, I always prefer to be around people anyways. Okay. There's one reason why I like to go to the cemetery so often, because it's got people there. There's always people there. Yeah. Okay, so you consider the cemetery full. Even if you can't see them. After I got out of bed, I made myself a small breakfast and got changed into my favorite outfit. Croven's gone, and the bus I take out of town should be arriving any minute now. Where shall I go today? Cemetery, cafe, and library. Okay. Another choice that isn't dialogue, I guess, so... We like the cemetery, I guess, so... I went to my favorite place, the cemetery. The cemetery is pretty much on the same block as my family's restaurant. Okay, so we're learning things. Right next to it, in fact. All you have to do is cross the street. It's on the same side of the road. I think my parents chose this location because it's good for business. How so? That's what my mum told me anyway. That's what mum told me anyway. People are usually hungry after a funeral. I suppose, but isn't that the whole point of like a wake, right? Crying really takes a lot out of you, after all. Yeah, that's why some people sleep, especially children. I was always glad to live there, because I really love visiting the cemetery. I like to walk down the rows and see who got flowers that day. That's not nice, isn't that a bit of like a competition, like a popularity contest? That's what I do most days. Sometimes I'll pick my own flowers just to leave on the graves and look at like they've been just to leave on graves that look like they've been forgotten about. Yeah, see, but not even necessarily forgotten about, whereas they might not have any living relatives left to add flowers to the grave. I guess I'm actually quite known for the cemetery. Some people have even begun to use a nickname for me. Though I don't know how many people of them even know what I look like. When I arrived at the cemetery gates, however, I was surprised to see Croven standing there, and what looked like a new friend. Croven? Mary? Did you follow me? Huh? No, I didn't. You know I always come here? Yeah, but that's usually not until later. Why are you here so early? I mean, it's not as if I had anything better to do. Well, do you have to be here right now? I'm kind of on a date. Sorry. Oh, this is a date? I mean, it can be, if you want it to be. I'll think about it. Let's not start provoking people. This is, Vasilis? I met him at the arcade. Yo. Sorry, Mary, but could you please go? I just really don't want to have the energy for this right now. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, okay. Sorry. Didn't mean to intrude. I'll see you later. Later. See you in some other life, Mary. I left Croven alone. I didn't want to interrupt his little date or whatever. Especially didn't want to make him more mad at me. However, I wasn't going to let him stop me from going to the cemetery. I continued on, past the gates, and stepped inside. It seemed emptier than usual. It didn't look like any of the funerals were being held today. Would it be mean of me to wish there was? I mean, it doesn't sound like it would be mean, because you're not meaning, oh boy, I hope people die. It's more so just, I wish people were around, I guess. It's not necessarily bad. It's not mean-spirited. Yeah, it probably would be. Forget I said anything like that. It would be a really awful thing to say. When nighttime rolled around, I headed back home. I slipped into my pajamas and headed to bed almost immediately. Of course, though, I couldn't sleep right away. I had someone I needed to talk to first. Good evening again. Good evening. May I ask you something? You always do. How do you know my name is Mary? I've always known. I've always known that your name is Mary. Oh, wait, no. Hold on, let's check. History, please. I've always known what your name is. I guess it's kind of 50-50. Have we met before? If the answer's no, logically the parents told us. If we did, you probably wouldn't remember. If? So we did meet. Take the if as a maybe. So you're not answering the question. It's not even a no. Can't even discern. We may have met before, but would it make any difference if you didn't remember me? That's a good point, I guess. It would be as if we were meeting for the first time. That's weird. I'm uncomfortable. Any updates on my parents? They are fine. Will I ever see them again? Yes, because I'm coming to get you too. I just need more time. Good night, Mary. Hold on, so, right, it's coming to get you, because, like, it's coming to collect you, or there's a threat of I'll get you sort of thing. I went to sleep feeling pretty shaken that night. I tried to not think about it. I'm surprised I was able to get any sleep at all. I'm surprised I didn't have any nightmares either. Uncle Cross? Yes, Mary? Uncle Cross, can I ask you a question? Sure thing, kiddo. Shoot. How'd you lose your eye? Mary. Oh, okay, so hold on, right, so that's... Oh, okay, so that's not... Okay, cool. So that was our father, then. It's fine, I don't mind. I lost my eye in war. Okay, and so it explains... Okay, cool. Hold on, are you our uncle by relating to our father or mother or married in? You're in war, Uncle Cross? I was. I won't go into specifics of it, but it was important to me that I protect my family in any way I could. Do you miss it? My eyeball? Yes. You know something? Not as much as I thought I would. I think I would miss you bunch a lot more. Is this relating to why our parents were gone? Is that the kind of war? Because how long have you been missing an eye? After I got out of bed, I made myself a small breakfast and got changed in my favorite outfit. Corwin's gone. Okay, cool. Where should I go today? Okay, so is it like a repeat thing? Let's go to the library. It's got books. I decided to go to the library. There's nothing quite like a good book. My favorite kind of book are mysteries. Yeah, those are good because it keeps you thinking. Not necessarily murder mysteries, but mysteries in general. In fact, I kind of prefer it when the mystery doesn't involve anyone dying. There's a lot less tension there, you know? Well, I'm kind of in the opposite direction. I kind of prefer murder mysteries because especially the good one, is where there's a repeat, the repeat murders, or sorry, like a serial killer. Well, not necessarily a serial killer, just where people die over and over. It doesn't. The reason I exclude serial killers is because it could be multiple people fighting and then dying because they suspect each other as the traitor and/or murderer. But yeah, but maybe I'm just too soft. No, you seem fine, I guess. I mean, you sit down in the cemetery. I couldn't do that. That would probably make me soft. I also quite enjoy manga, especially the shoujo kind. I have no idea when it comes to manga categories. All I know is you've got like superhero, isekai, romance, comedy, and I guess a combination of both. That's about it. I feel almost embarrassed to like them, but I find that they're cute and nice. And I like seeing characters fall in love. So is it a romance? Is that what it means? Yeah, shoujo. Maybe that's what I'll try and find in the library today. I stepped in the library and began to make my way over to my favourite spot. A tucked away corner in the library, right by a single window. Sometimes I'd spend the entire day in the corner just reading. I even managed to finish entire books without leaving the library. I look forward to doing something like that again today, but when I got to my favourite spot, I noticed a man was already sitting there. I was surprised because usually this library is pretty empty. But this man, he's familiar. I've met him before. Oh, my apologies. Did I take your seat? Oh, it's you, Mary. Marianta? Yes? Yeah, that's right. I remember you. From the funeral, right? Indeed. Do you remember my name? Reginald. That's right. It's a pleasure to see you here. I was hoping I'd run into you one day. Yeah, I hope it didn't come off as weird. You were just a pleasant person to be around. You really brought life into that funeral. Oh, really? Thank you, I think. What brings you to the library today? Oh, well, I didn't really have plans, so I thought I'd just check out a book or something. Likewise. What kind of book were you interested in checking out? We have no reason to lie. I'm here to look at just the embarrassed sprite. I'm actually here to look for a shoujo manga. A shoujo manga? What's that? Oh, it's like, do you know what a manga is? I have an idea, but I can't say I've ever read one myself. Considering he had to repeat shoujo manga to you, I would believe he doesn't have any idea what it is. He claims he has an idea, but the best we could just say is a comic, I guess. It's a Japanese comic book. I mean, people are going to get angry for me for saying that. It's basically what it is. I mean, it's got pictures. It helps depict the artistry, I guess. I don't even know what I'm saying, basically, but, well, it's like one of those. But it usually centers around the romance between two main characters. And sometimes there's like friends or rivals, but I really like the comedy ones. Because you get cute jokes mixed into the romance, so you like rom-coms. But sometimes the drama ones are really cute too. And they can get really intense. Sorry, I'm rambling. I'm not good at explaining things. Me neither, don't worry. No worries, I think you did a good job. A shoujo sounds interesting. Perhaps I'll check one out myself later. I'm trying to become more open to new things after all. Anyways, what are you doing? What are you here to read? Me? I'm reading Manslaughter on the Disorient Locomotive. Is this supposed to be like a reference to Murder on the Orient Express? I mean, honestly, there's a lot of murders that happen on trains, I guess. At least stories about murders that happens on trains. Well, I've been meaning to read that one too. Do you want it then? What? Oh, no, that's okay. Please take your time. Just, if you wouldn't mind, would you tell me when you're done with it? You know, so I can maybe read it after? I'm fine with that. Though, I've already gotten pretty far in, and I don't think I'll be finished by today. You have a cell phone, yes? Would it be alright if I have your number? That way I could notify you as soon as I'm finished. Wow, that's smooth. Literally, technically not the first time we met, not a couple of seconds in of meeting, but first interaction, and he's already asking for a phone number. And well, I'd like to try it and be friends too, if that's alright. He's aiming for friendship. Cool. Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah, of course. Reginald and I exchanged phone numbers. I was shocked he even remembered me. But I'd consider meeting him again a pleasant surprise, and one I really appreciated. After our exchange, I picked up a shoujo book from one of the shelves and began to read it in the other spot of the library. I ended up liking it so much, I looked for other books and brought two or three home with me to read later. After that, I came home, had dinner, and cleaned up the kitchen. I began my usual nighttime routine. I got changed in my pajamas, brushed my teeth, and sat down in my bed and texted whoever they are. Well, I guess that's the first episode of Cemetery Mary. This one's nice. It's nice and relaxing so far. I mean, it's got a mix of like nice and relaxed, and with that's weirdly morbid, but it kind of works, I think. But yeah, I'll be interested to see how this turns out. Hopefully you had fun, and hopefully I can see you on the next one. With that, goodbye.